The Galactic Council chamber floated in silence above the bright blue swirl of a distant planet. The great dome of the chamber shimmered with starlight, reflecting the faces of hundreds of alien races gathered inside. Some had scales, some had fur, others had faces made of metal and light. All of them were waiting for the humans to speak. At the center of the room sat Commander Elias Hale, the human ambassador. His uniform was simple, dark blue with a small Earth emblem on his chest. He didn't look like much compared to the tall, shining figures around him. No horns, no wings, no glowing skin, just two eyes, calm and sharp, that watched everything. Hale had seen this kind of silence before. He'd seen it on battlefields, on alien ships, even in human classrooms. The silence that comes right before a question that changes everything. Across from him, a young alien stood up. She was a Terrene, a species known for their curiosity and gentle nature. Her skin shimmered like glass, and her voice carried a soft musical tone when she spoke. "Commander Hale," she began, "we have studied your species for many years. Your technology, your wars, your strange ways of survival, but there is something we still do not understand." The other council members leaned forward, their eyes glowing in the dim light. Even the older ambassadors paused their private conversations. The Terrene continued, "What do human children learn first?" A small murmur spread through the chamber. To most, it was a simple question, but to the humans, it was a challenge. Hale raised an eyebrow. "You want to know," he said slowly, "what our children are taught first?" "Yes," she replied. "Our young begin with basic science and empathy lessons. The Vrulin species starts with song and harmony. The Zorket teach their young the laws of logic before anything else. We are curious, what about you humans?" The translator drones floated above, repeating her words in every alien tongue. Hale waited for the echoes to fade. Then he stood. He looked around the room, at faces that had never known cold nights or wild beasts, at beings who had grown up in worlds where nature had been tamed before birth. And then he smiled. "What do human children learn first?" he said. "We teach them math, reading, and fire." The translator drones repeated his words, and for a long moment the room was completely still. Then came laughter. Soft at first from the corner of the hall, then louder. Ripples of strange sounds, hisses, clicks, deep throaty roars of amusement. Some pounded their tables, others whispered jokes to one another. "Fire," one alien repeated. "You teach your young how to burn things?" Another snorted. "Is this some kind of human humor?" But Hale didn't laugh. He just stood there, hands behind his back, eyes steady. When the laughter died down, he said quietly, "Yes, fire." The air grew heavier. "You see," he continued, his voice calm but firm, "we teach our young how to control something that can destroy them. We teach them how to hold power in their hands and not be afraid of it." The Terrene ambassador tilted her glass-like head. "But why?" "Fire is dangerous. Fire kills," Hale nodded. "Yes, it kills. It destroys. It burns everything you love if you're careless. But without it, without learning to face it, you stay weak. You stay cold. You stay afraid." He looked up at the massive display above the council, showing Earth spinning slowly among the stars. "On our home world," he said, "fire kept us alive when the ice came. It cooked our food. It scared off the beasts that hunted us in the dark. It became our first tool, our first weapon, our first teacher, and so we teach it still." The council chamber was silent again. The laughter was gone. One of the elder aliens, a huge creature of rock and crystal, spoke in a deep rumble. "You let your children near that which can destroy them?" Hale met the old being's eyes. "Yes, because we trust them to learn, because they must understand danger if they are ever to overcome it." He took a slow breath. "You see, every human child at some point learns that fire burns. Maybe by accident, maybe by curiosity, but they learn. And when they learn, they respect it. They use it to light candles on birthdays, to warm their homes, to forge their tools. That's how we grow," the aliens whispered among themselves. Some looked disturbed, others fascinated. The Terrene ambassador spoke again, her tone cautious now. "You teach them to control danger itself." Hale nodded. "Exactly. Because one day, danger will come from something far worse than fire, and when that day comes, our children will already know what to do. They will not run from it. They will master it." His words hung in the air like sparks in darkness. For the first time, many of the council members saw humanity not as a reckless young race, but as something older, tougher, and far more dangerous than they had imagined. Hale sat down slowly, folding his hands on the table. The question had been answered, but in the silence that followed, every alien in the chamber began to wonder the same thing. If humans taught their children fire, what else had they learned? And deep down, even the bravest of them felt a small new fear, because they realized the truth. Humans did not just survive fire, they became it. The council chamber remained heavy with silence after Commander Elias Hale's words. The echo of math, reading, and fire still drifted through the air like smoke that refused to fade. The translator drones had gone still, unsure whether to repeat or to wait. Around the great circular hall, the alien delegates whispered in their own strange languages, soft clicks, hums, and hisses that mixed into a low storm of confusion. At the center of it all sat Hale, calm, still, watching. He knew this silence well, the silence after truth lands like a spark on dry leaves. The Terrene ambassador, young and curious, finally spoke. Her glass-like face glimmered under the pale light. "Commander Hale," she said carefully, "your words have confused the council. You say you teach your young the ways of danger. Is this the human way?" Hale smiled just a little. "Yes," he said. "That is the human way." A dozen voices rose at once. A scaled being from the cold world of Varn hissed, "You raise your young beside destruction?" A soft, floating creature made of mist whispered, "It is no wonder your species brings war wherever it travels." An ancient voice boomed from the far side of the hall. "Perhaps this explains your endless conflict. You are creatures who worship chaos." Hale stood again. "We don't worship chaos," he said. "We respect it. We understand it. Because we came from it." He took a few steps forward, the sound of his boots echoing in the vast chamber. "When our ancestors first stood upright, they were surrounded by storms, wild beasts, and cold that could kill in a single night. We didn't have shells or claws or wings. We had curiosity, and courage, and something inside us that refused to give up." He paused and looked around the room. "So we learned. We learned to turn danger into a tool. We learned to take the wild and make it ours." The Terrene tilted her head. "And you began with fire." "Yes," Hale said. "Because it was the first thing that frightened us and the first thing we conquered." He turned to the vast screen behind him. It came alive with moving images from old Earth. Humans gathered around small fires in dark caves, their faces glowing orange in the light. Lightning flashed above mountains. Oceans roared. Volcanoes erupted. "This," Hale said, pointing at the flames, "is how we learned to survive. Every human child knows that fire burns. But they also learn that fire teaches. You respect it, you use it, you master it. That lesson becomes part of who we are." The council members leaned forward, mesmerized by the images. A spindly alien from the Zorket Alliance asked, "You let your offspring touch it? Risk pain for what?" Hale's eyes were steady. Because lessons learned in safety are easily forgotten. Lessons learned in pain, those are remembered forever. The words hit the council like a shockwave. Many of them had never known pain. Their worlds were safe, controlled, and clean. Their children were protected from all harm until maturity. To them, pain was a flaw. To humans, it was a teacher. Hale could see the confusion on their faces, but also something new. Interest, respect, maybe even a little fear. Pain, he continued, taught us compassion. It taught us strength. It taught us that we can endure anything and keep moving forward. Every child who learns to control fire learns that power and danger can live in the same hands. That's what it means to be human. He gestured toward the flame on the screen. You see this as destruction. We see it as progress. Without fire, we would have never forged metal, never launched rockets, never lit the darkness of space. A long pause followed. Then the elder of the council, a being made of living crystal, spoke in a deep rumble. You believe your young must face fear to understand strength? Yes, Hale said, because fear is our oldest friend. It tells us what must be faced. It pushes us to grow. We teach our children not to hide from fear, but to master it. That is the human way. The crystal elder leaned back, glowing faintly. Strange, he said softly. We built a world without fear. We thought it made us civilized, Hale nodded. And yet you called us to protect you from the war on your borders. The words cut through the room like a blade. No one spoke, everyone knew it was true. The humans were the first to fight when the Dark Swarm invaded the Edge Worlds. While the Council debated and planned, the humans acted. Hale didn't need to remind them. The images were still fresh. Human fleets burning through the dark, their ships wreathed in light and fire. He spoke again, quieter now. We are not perfect. We fight, we make mistakes. We destroy, but we also build again, always. Because our children are taught from birth that power and fear are not enemies, they are lessons. Fire is only dangerous to those who never learn how to hold it. The Terrene ambassador looked down, her glass fingers trembling faintly. Perhaps we have forgotten what it means to struggle, she said. Hale nodded slowly. Perhaps, but that's all right. Humanity remembers enough for everyone. The lights dimmed. The flames on the screen flickered, and for the first time in a long while, the Galactic Council understood what made humans different, not their technology, not their weapons, but their will to master the very things that once terrified them. And somewhere deep inside, every alien in that room wondered, if humans could teach their children fire, what would they teach them next? The council chamber had never felt smaller. The air was thick, almost alive, with tension. Commander Elias Hale's words still hung there, glowing like embers in the minds of every alien present. For the first time in centuries, the great Galactic Council was divided. The Terrene ambassador sat quietly, her glass-like hands folded in thought. Around her, the others argued. Voices rose. The calm and polite order of the council broke apart into chaos. They raised their young beside fire, hissed Forash, the scaled representative of the Cold World Varn. His sharp claws clicked against the table. No species that values life would do such a thing. From across the chamber, a soft mist drifted upward. Luma, from the vapor world of Enai, glowing faintly blue. Perhaps they are not wrong, she whispered. Perhaps danger makes them strong. Perhaps that is why humans survive where others fall. Strong? Forash snapped, his voice sharp as metal. They are reckless! They fight every threat they meet. Even their own kind. A species addicted to danger cannot bring peace. Commander Hale stayed silent. He watched. He listened. Humans had learned long ago that silence was the strongest weapon in any debate. The elder of the council, an ancient being of living crystal, spoke next. His deep voice rumbled like mountains shifting. Perhaps there is wisdom in what they do, he said slowly. A people who teach their young to face fear may grow into a race that never bows to it. The chamber erupted again. You call that wisdom? Shouted a tall insectoid being with shining eyes. They have turned violence into a virtue. Another voice joined in. A creature of light and shadow, its form shifting as it spoke. But they won. Every war, every hardship, even extinction could not claim them. The elder nodded. That is true. The humans endure. Forash slammed his claws on the table, sparks flying. Endure? They spread like wildfire. Their colonies appear on every frontier. They claim worlds that were never theirs. They say they bring civilization, but they bring fire wherever they go. Hale finally stood. His voice cut through the noise like thunder. You're right, he said. We do bring fire. But tell me, when the Dark Swarm came to your border, who brought light to your skies? The room fell silent, no one spoke. The memory of that war was still raw. The Dark Swarm had devoured whole systems, killing billions. It was humanity who answered first. While the council debated for safety, human fleets had already jumped into the fire. Entire worlds were saved because of them, and burned because of them too. Hale's tone softened. We don't spread fire to destroy. We bring it because the galaxy is dark, and someone has to carry the light. The elder crystal being's glow pulsed brighter. Your words burn, human, but they carry truth. The Terrene ambassador raised her hand. Commander Hale, she said gently, perhaps you can help us understand. Why teach your young such power? Why not wait until they are older, wiser? Hale smiled faintly. Because wisdom comes from using power, not hiding from it. If a child learns only comfort, they will fear hardship all their life. We don't want our children to live safe, we want them to live strong. A soft murmur spread through the room again. Some of the aliens leaned back, thinking deeply. Others crossed their arms or folded limbs in defiance. Forash growled. Strength without control brings ruin. You cannot teach fire to a child. Hale turned to him. And yet we did, he said simply. And because we did, we stand here now. The alien hissed but said nothing. The Terrene spoke again. Maybe the real question is not what they teach, she said quietly. Maybe it is why they must. Hale's eyes softened. He looked at the stars above the chamber's glass dome. Because our world never gave us mercy. Because every human, from birth, must learn to stand against something. Against the cold. Against hunger. Against fear. We learned that comfort makes us forget who we are. Fire reminds us. For a moment, even Vorash was silent. Luma, the being of mist, drifted closer to Hale. You say fire reminds you? She said softly. Of what? Hale met her glowing eyes. That power is not evil. It's the hand that wields it that matters. The elder crystal being rose slowly from his seat. Perhaps humanity's greatest weapon, he said, is not their machines or their armies, but their will to learn from danger. Hale inclined his head. Exactly. We don't fear danger because it's how we grow. Every storm we face teaches us something. Every loss shapes us. That is the human way. A long, heavy silence filled the chamber. Even the translation drone seemed to hesitate before repeating his words. Finally, the elder turned to the rest of the council. We have feared humanity for their fire, he said. But perhaps we should fear what they could become if they ever lost it. Cold shiver ran through the room. The council was no longer debating whether humans were dangerous. They were realizing why. Hale looked around once more, his expression calm. You asked what we teach our children, he said. Now ask yourselves, what do you teach yours? He turned and walked from the center of the chamber, his footsteps echoing softly. Behind him, the council sat in uneasy silence. The Terrene ambassador watched him go, her glass eyes reflecting the faint orange glow from the screen still showing a single flame. It flickered. It burned. It refused to die. And somewhere deep inside she wondered, not in fear but in awe, how far that flame could reach. The council chamber dimmed as the great dome darkened to black. Stars shimmered faintly above, and in the center of the hall, a large hollow screen flickered to life. Commander Elias Hale stood before it, hands clasped behind his back, the faint light of the projection painting his face in orange and gold. He did not speak right away. He let the silence breathe, let every being in that room feel the weight of what was about to begin. Then, in a low, calm voice, he said, You've all seen what we are now, but if you wish to understand us, you must see where we came from. The image on the screen shifted, showing a frozen landscape. Mountains of ice, a dark sky, tiny figures moving below, wrapped in furs huddled together around something bright. A flame. This, Hale said, was Earth. Hundreds of thousands of years ago. Our home before cities, before machines, before the stars. The aliens leaned forward, eyes wide. They saw primitive humans, their faces covered in dirt and cold, crouching beside a fire. The flame flickered, small but alive, holding back the darkness that seemed ready to swallow the world. When the ice came, Hale continued, we were hunted, starving, weak. The nights were longer than courage could bear. Many died, but one thing kept us alive. He pointed toward the flickering light. This fire. The Terrene ambassador watched quietly, her glass fingers pressed together. The elder of the council glowed softly, his crystal surface reflecting the dancing flames. Fire gave us warmth, Hale said. It cooked our food. It scared away the beasts that stalked us. It gave us hope. The scene shifted again, now showing ancient humans painting on cave walls, shapes of animals and stars drawn beside handprints. And it gave us imagination. Hale said softly. When we stared into the flames, we saw more than heat and light. We saw stories. We saw gods. We saw a future. The insectoid ambassador leaned forward, fascinated. You worshipped fire? Hale smiled faintly. No, we learned from it. It taught us that creation and destruction are the same thing, just seen from different sides. The holoscreen changed again. Great cities rose. Metal gleamed. Flames burned in furnaces, forging tools and weapons. Rockets lifted off, leaving trails of fire behind them. Every step we took, Hale said, was guided by what we learned at that first campfire. To build, we had to risk. To rise, we had to burn. The council watched as images of history flashed by. Wars, discoveries, triumphs, and failures. Humanity's story written in fire and light. But then the flames on the screen turned darker. Explosions. Bombs. Cities burning. Skies filled with smoke. A murmur spread through the chamber. The Terrene ambassador whispered, "So much death." "Yes," Hale said quietly. "We burned our own world more than once. We made the same mistake fire warned us about. We forgot respect." He let the images play. Ruined cities, broken people, smoke rising into gray skies. "Fire is honest," he said. "It gives life, but it takes it just as easily. When we forgot that, it punished us. When we remembered, it helped us rebuild." The screen shifted again. Green forests. Clean skies. New cities. Children laughing beside small campfires, learning, watching the flames dance. "That's why we still teach it," Hale said, "because it reminds us that power is never free. Every spark demands responsibility. Every light casts a shadow." For a long moment, no one spoke. The aliens stared at the screen, at the fragile balance of destruction and rebirth in every scene. Then Luma, the being of mist, floated closer, her voice soft like wind. "You mean to say," she asked, "that even after all that death, you still pass the same lesson to your children?" Hale nodded slowly. "Especially after that death. We don't hide our mistakes from them. We let them see the cost. We let them touch the warmth and feel the burn. Because one day they'll hold the flame too, the elder crystal being rumbled low, the sound like distant thunder. You teach them the burden of your past." "Yes," Hale said. "Because if they forget, they'll repeat it. And we've already paid that price too many times." The council sat in heavy silence. No one dared laugh now. No one dared argue. Hale walked toward the center of the room, the hollow screen still glowing behind him. His shadow stretched long across the marble floor, the way firelight stretches over cave walls. He looked up at the assembly and said, "You think we're reckless because we teach our young to play with danger. But that's not what we do. We teach them to understand it, to respect it, to control it. That is how we survived." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the silent crowd. "The first humans learned that if they waited for the world to be safe, they would die. So we stopped waiting. We made safety ourselves. We lit a fire in the dark and we never let it go out," the Terrene ambassador whispered almost to herself. "And now that fire burns among the stars." Hale nodded once. "Yes, it does. And it will keep burning because it's not just heat. It's will. It's memory. It's the proof that no matter how cold the universe becomes, humanity will always find a way to bring light." The hollow screen faded, the chamber lights rising again. Every alien sat in silence, reflecting. For the first time, they understood that fire was not humanity's weapon. It was their story, their teacher, their promise. And as the council adjourned for the night, one thought echoed in every mind. If this is what humans give their children, what would they give the galaxy? The council chamber buzzed with quiet energy. For 3 days, the story of humanity's fire lesson had spread across the galactic network. Every species was talking about it, some with admiration, others with fear. To most, it sounded like madness. To a few, it sounded like truth. On the 4th day, the elder of the council called for a meeting. His crystal body glowed a deep blue as he spoke. "Words are easy," he said, "but understanding comes through action. Let us see if humanity's lesson holds true." The idea was simple. A controlled test. No armies, no weapons, no danger. Just a test of learning and survival. 2 groups of children, one human, one mixed from several alien races, would be sent to the same neutral planet. It was safe, breathable, with mild cold at night. They would be given equal supplies, no adult help, and one goal: survive the night. Commander Elias Hale agreed instantly. He didn't even hesitate. "You'll send our children?" the insectoid ambassador asked in disbelief. Hale nodded. "They'll do fine. They already know the rules," the council murmured among themselves. Unsure if this was bravery or recklessness, but by dusk, everything was ready. The planet chosen was called Asterion IV, a quiet world of silver grass and endless skies. The 2 groups were dropped on opposite sides of a wide valley. The alien children, Terrene, Zorket, and others, worked quickly and carefully. They built a shelter from the prefabricated panels they'd been given. They unpacked their rations. They placed light crystals around the camp to keep the darkness away. It was perfect. Clean. Safe. Across the valley, the human children had a different plan. They were only 12 in number, ranging from ages 9 to 14. Their leader was a girl named Mira Hale, the commander's daughter. Her brown hair was tied back, her eyes sharp and full of calm. "All right," she said, looking around. "We've got 2 hours before nightfall. Let's find fuel." They split into pairs, gathering sticks, stones, and dry grass. The wind was cold, sharper now as the sun sank. The sky turned deep orange. One of the smaller kids, Jace, looked up nervously. "Shouldn't we use the light crystals like the others?" Mira smiled. "Light crystals fade. Fire doesn't." They found a flat patch of ground near a cluster of rocks. Mira knelt, stacking sticks into a small pyramid. Her hands were steady as she struck a spark rod. Once, twice, then a tiny flame came to life. The others gathered around, eyes wide as the fire grew. Warmth spread over their hands, faces glowing in the light. It crackled, alive, as night fell fully across the valley. Soon, they were cooking the ration cubes, melting snow for water, laughing softly under the stars. High above, in orbit, the council watched through drones. Vorash, the scaled ambassador, folded his arms. "Primitive," he said. "They waste time playing with fire while the others prepare efficiently." The Terrene ambassador tilted her head. "Look closer," she murmured. The alien children's camp glowed bright with artificial light. Their energy crystals hummed softly, but as the temperature dropped further, frost began forming on their shelters. The air units struggled. Inside, the children sat in silence. The machines kept them safe, but cold still crept through the metal walls. Across the valley, the human camp glowed orange. The children were sitting close, passing food, talking. Steam rose from their cups. The fire cracked and popped, painting their faces with light. They weren't surviving. They were living. The elder of the council watched in silence. The reflection of the fire burned faintly in his crystalline body. "Remarkable," he whispered. "They have turned danger into comfort," Vorash hissed. "Or comfort into recklessness." Fire spreads. "One mistake, yet they make none," said the Terrene. "Because they learned." Midnight came. The temperature dropped further. The alien camp's lights flickered. A few of their devices froze. Some children began to cry softly. Then they saw something across the valley, a warm glow, steady and bright. Human laughter echoed faintly in the cold air. One alien child pressed her face to the window. "They're warm," another whispered. "How?" They made fire. By morning, the drones descended to record results. The alien camp was orderly but miserable. Their lights had dimmed. Their machines were coated with frost. The children were tired and hungry. The human camp was awake and cheerful. Smoke rose lazily into the dawn. Mira was teaching the younger ones how to bank the ashes so the fire could be relit later. When the council asked how they had survived, Mira answered simply, "We didn't fight the night. We worked with it." The aliens blinked in confusion. "Worked with it?" She nodded. "You can't make the cold go away, but you can bring warmth to meet it." Back in the council chamber, silence ruled once again. The experiment had spoken for itself. The elder stood, his voice slow and deep. They teach their children danger not to destroy but to endure. And in that endurance there is something the rest of us have forgotten. Vorash lowered his head, his scales dim. "They do not fear the dark," he muttered. Hale, standing quietly near the side of the chamber, finally spoke. "No," he said softly. "We don't. Because someone has to bring the light." His words drifted across the silent hall, glowing brighter than the fire on the screen. And from that day on, the galaxy understood something new. Humans didn't survive because they were strongest. They survived because, when darkness came, they lit a fire and shared it. The council chamber buzzed with arguments for days after Commander Hale's speech. Every species had an opinion and none agreed. To some, humanity was a miracle. To others, a threat wrapped in a smile. "They teach their young danger," said Vorash, the scaled ambassador from Varn, his voice like a hiss of steam. "No civilization can build peace from that." "And yet," said the Terrene ambassador softly, "they keep surviving." The elder of the council, his crystalline body glowing a calm blue, raised a heavy hand. "Enough," he said. "Words are smoke. Let us see if their fire holds truth. We will test it." The hall grew silent. A test? Hale asked. Yes, said the elder. We will see if your children's lessons are more than pride. 3 days later, the council gathered again, this time not in the great chamber, but aboard an orbital station above a quiet, uninhabited world, Valen 9. A planet of soft hills, silver grass, and thin air. It was perfect. No real danger. No predators. Just cold nights and long shadows. 2 groups of children would take part. 12 human children, ages 9 to 14, and 12 alien children from 5 different species. All given the same supplies: food, basic tools, light crystals, and a shelter kit. The goal was simple: survive 1 night without adult help. When Hale heard the plan, he didn't protest. He simply said, let them learn. Some called him brave. Others called him insane, but he only smiled. The ships descended through the blue mist of Valen 9 and landed in separate valleys. 1 for humans, 1 for aliens. The alien children moved fast. The Zorket used scanners to locate the flattest ground. The Terrene unpacked the shelter kit with care. The Varn built walls from energy panels. Within hours, a perfect camp stood shining in the dusk. The youngest of them, a small mist being from Enai, whispered, We'll stay warm now. The older one nodded.
We are civilized.
We don't play with fire. Across the ridge, the human camp was chaos. Children ran through tall grass, gathering branches, stones, and dry moss. Their leader, a small girl with dark hair tied back in a rough braid, worked in silence, stacking wood the way her father had taught her. Her name was Mira Hale. When the youngest boy asked, Shouldn't we just use the heat lamp? She smiled. Lamps die, she said. Fire lasts. The sky darkened. The air grew sharp. Breath turned white. Mira struck the spark rod against a rock once, twice, 3 times. Nothing. The others waited, teeth chattering. She tried again. A tiny ember glowed. She bent close, cupping her hands around it, breathing gently. The ember caught. Flames bloomed. The children gasped as light filled their faces. Warmth spread like magic. Mira smiled. See? The oldest trick on Earth. High above, in orbit, the council watched through their drones. Vorash scowled. They waste time playing with fire. The other team has proper heating units and shelters. But the elder said nothing. He only watched. The alien camp below shone bright with artificial lights. Energy fields buzzed faintly. The shelters were sealed and secure. It looked perfect, efficient. But as night deepened, frost spread across their walls. The air grew colder, the energy cells dimmed. The heat units began to strain. Inside, the children huddled close, shivering. The lights are fading, one whispered. Maybe the humans were right, said another quietly. Maybe we should have learned fire. Across the valley, the human camp glowed warm orange. The children laughed softly as sparks danced into the night sky. Mira taught them how to add fuel, how to protect the flames from wind. They cooked ration cubes until the air smelled faintly of smoke and warmth. Someone started humming a song. The others joined in. The fire crackled in rhythm like it was listening. The stars above seemed to watch too. Hours passed. At the alien camp, the lights went out completely. The children trembled in the cold darkness. Some cried quietly. Others stared at the faint glow across the valley. Through the frost-covered window, one Terrene child whispered, They made warmth from nothing. Another replied, No, they made warmth from courage. When dawn came, the drones descended to record the results. The alien camp was still. The shelters had held, but barely. The children were tired, pale, and silent. Their supplies had run low. The human camp was alive with chatter. Smoke rose in thin ribbons. The fire still burned, smaller but steady. Mira crouched beside it, stirring the ashes. A drone hovered near. Human subject group status. Mira looked up, soot on her cheek. We're fine. The night was long, but the fire stayed with us. What was your strategy? The drone asked. Mira thought for a moment, then said, We didn't fight the dark. We gave it something to dance with. Back aboard the station, the council watched in silence. Vorash said nothing this time. His sharp eyes stayed on the fire, reflected in the drone feed. The Terrene ambassador turned to Hale. Your children are small, she said, but they carry something vast. Hale smiled faintly. We teach them early. The elder stood, his crystal body glowing brighter. The experiment is complete. We have seen enough. He looked around the room, his voice steady and deep. "They call themselves the Children of Fire," he said. "Now I understand. They do not play with danger. They become its master." No one argued. No one dared, because at that moment every being in that chamber understood. Human children did not just learn to survive the night. They learned to command it. And as the screen faded to black, the last image was of Mira Hale, standing before the dying fire. Her face lit by its glow, she whispered, as if to the universe itself, "Never let it go out."